Doamnelor, domnilor, bună seara, sunt Octavian Vandră și vă primesc cu drag la o nouă ediție a Realității Românești. Îmi cer scuze, sunt emoționat pentru că am în fața mea un geniu al muzicii, căruia îi sunt și acum fidel de vreo 30 de ani, unul dintre cei mai mari chitariști din această lume. Ne face marea onoare să fie în studioul improvizat aici la Entity Data, căruia îi mulțumim că ne-a găzduit. Este vorba de domnul Aldi Meola, un geniu al chitării, un geniu al componisticii, un geniu al jazzului și a mai multor forme de exprimare muzicală. Hello, Al.
Nice to be back.
Long time no see.
Good to see you.
I have some emotions because I am a big fan of you for 30 years. I told you. Welcome in Romania. Welcome on our show.
Well, it's always nice to come back here because I feel when I play to a Romanian audience, you get a feeling like they've been following you for a long time. Even in times were hard here, they somehow, I think, knew of my music somehow. So I think there's a history of their knowing of my work.
Tell me, how is the life when you are a genius?
I don't think about any
Genius of the guitar.
I don't. The life of a musician really is just in my what I do is a fortunate situation in which I'm able to play music that I wrote and have it appreciated by audiences in every country. And that's something I have to thank the good fortune of having been making it. Let's say my name was known in the '70s, and I think whenever you have made it in the '70s playing this style of music, you're pretty much known in the world easier than maybe now. Now you have the internet and things have changed, and it's you have everybody who's just 5 days playing the guitars on the internet, thinking they're a star,
Come on.
But I have audiences all around, and the life is one of traveling, physically difficult, the traveling part, but the playing part, the 1 or 2 hours of pure joy, it takes you to another world, and it's why we do it, and pretty much it's a combination of an unusual life. It's not a normal life. I live in hotels.
Yes, I know.
And it's constant packing, unpacking, packing, and it's the good with the bad, the extremely good with the very hard.
Come on, when you are a genius, you have a duty.
So it's kind of like
he loves you. I love you.
Yeah.
All the people love you.
You have a kind of obligation in a way to keep it going. It's also for yourself to stay vibrant. Is part of what gives you the vitality. Vibrant by being productive. Because as a musician, you can be productive till the very end, that last day. And if you're idle, you could very easily go down. So I'm staying strong.
But you look excellent.
Yeah, I mean, everything is better than ever.
Okay, you are in Romania with Astor Piazzolla and Lennon McCartney. Why? Why did you choose this?
Well, they're two. I started as a young boy, maybe 9 and 10 when the Beatles exploded. My sister.
How was your start?
It was sort of like that. I have a 7-year older sister than me.
Ah, okay.
And so she had friends come over with some instruments, a little party at the house. And the parents weren't home, and I remember they had a guitar, an amp, and I got a chance to play the guitar or pick it up and hear the sound come through the amplifier, and and it was an explosive time in the music history, in the music
Blessed time.
the '60s were just trend like mind blowing difference than the '50s.
Yeah.
You know, we hadn't seen anything like it before.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
You're right.
Before in the '50s, you had, beginning of the '50s, Frank Sinatra, then Elvis, right?
Absolutely.
But in the '60s, exploded the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Moody Blues, about 500 bands from between London, New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles that blew open a whole new generation
It
and
was the last
influence.
vals.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm this little 9, 10-year-old boy just as a sponge pulling all of these influences in. And I remember my sister brings home these records, 45s,
Yeah, I know.
and then later albums, and Meet the Beatles, you know,
It was an experience.
was something we never heard before. So we saw them on TV and the Ed Sullivan Show, and I think all of America saw it. At least 3/4 of the whole population, because we only had 4 channels, like most countries. We didn't have many, like today, and we were waiting to see what this was going to be like when they arrived in America, and it transformed our thinking and our way of life. But here is a band, the Beatles, that evolved in their writing. And at somewhere in the middle of the '60s, they decided, '66, '67, to end touring, no touring, and just go to the studio every day and do something different. And what they did was, of course, you must know, they added instruments that were never associated with rock and roll, orchestral instruments, sound effects,
Yeah.
mixing techniques that were the lyrics changed from everything love, love, love to very kind of like impressionistic and psychedelic in a sense.
Yeah.
And it took you on a journey. It made you think. It took you places. Uh, and even if you eliminate the vocals, which is what I did, I mean, because I don't sing, and you just listen to the music, the harmony of the music, the melody of the music. It's beautiful. It's simpler than my music, but it's beautiful. And sometimes
Yeah.
simple is more effective than anything that we came from. Like when I joined Return to Forever at 19 years old, we were playing. We were kind of popular because of we were playing some very technical,
Yeah.
fire. Compositions were interesting, but complexity was now the new rage.
Of course. And Astor Piazzolla. It's
Well,
marvelous.
now that was the turning point
Giant.
because Astor Piazzolla and I became friends, and when we met, it was like I had met a family member,
Oh,
like an
nice.
older uncle, and he loved me and my music. I didn't even know his music, but people said you got to hear Astor's music. So when he promised me he's going to send me some music, and he wrote me 2 or 3 letters. Can you imagine? He wrote me letters, and I wrote him back
Nobody
letters,
read letters.
and they were all very super complimentary to me. And I said, "Man, what this guy? Wait a minute, he's like the new Bach. He's like a tango Bach." And I love
What's
this
happening
music
here?
so much.
Writing letters. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And he wrote, and so he sent me
Old-fashioned.
Tango Suite, the music, and a beautiful letter inside. In addition to the letters he wrote on the music, "Dear Alberto, I want to hear you someday do your magic on my music." So uh, I saw him maybe several times in New York. I saw him in Europe after that, and had not had yet the courage to play the music, but I was thinking of a way. And then he said to me, my next project is going to be an Al Di Meola and Astor Piazzolla record. How do you want to do it, Al? Do you want to do it with a band? Do you want to do it with an orchestra? Or you want to do it as a duet? How do you see it? He's asking me this in a hotel room in New York, and I'm going.
Impossible to.
Anyway, it's like the a
Can
God
imagine.
asking me, what do you want?
I can imagine.
And but that was going to be the next project of Astor Piazzolla. So his influence as a writer was profound because before that, fusion music, jazz rock music, was very cerebral. It was stimulating, exciting cerebrally, but not so much here. Whereas Pizzolla's music sometimes got you here, but was intelligent at the same time. And sometimes you could cry from his music. It was so deep.
Yeah, yes, Latin heart.
Yeah.
So
Now,
very,
I said that
very
is
warm.
exactly what it should be. Not just technical, exciting. It should also have an effect that goes here and here.
But the tango is a very complex music.
Right, but he had moments within the tango that took you to places that were unbelievably heartwarming or heart touched you, and you might have images of someone who passed that you loved at the moment that you're hearing this music. And I think that the highest compliment you can ever get is when you touch someone's heart with the music,
Of course.
not just blow them away technically. So his music was never at the expense of, uh, let's say, complexity. It was always still complex in a sense of virtuosic playing or technical playing, but at the same time, had a wide range of emotions. And the Beatles were more simplistic, but also had a very specific melody that just worked. So there was some kind of correlation, you know, in the two worlds, and I where I fit in is like I had influences of both. Uh, Also Chick Corea, why not? Of course, that's my early
His Spanish
years.
heart.
Yeah, well before that,
Before that, but I think
but
just with the heart.
I had in my life, starting with my guitar lessons from a jazz guitarist when I was a young boy. I had very good influences, hanging out in Latin clubs, and really, I'm a percussionist before I'm a guitar player. You know, that's my first, and I've
It's
seen to
important.
I